So, my name is Reet Aus, and I'm a designer. But I'm here today to talk a little bit about one project or a business or research project or a company called UpMade. Before I start talking about that, I have to tell a little bit about my background and how I ended up with the UpMade concept. So I started to work as a designer somewhere in the middle of the 90s in Estonia, post-Sovietic country, so it was a very interesting time. And when I graduated, I was extremely disappointed in fashion industry. I was quite really having a crisis to understand what should I do or how should I design. And I started to find a way how to do my designs in a more smart way or in the sustainable way. And quite soon I started using post-consumer waste. I made my first collection, it was quite successful. A lot of work, economically extremely not sustainable because too much work and too time consuming. So and then I slowly started to work with the industry. In the beginning in Estonia, I started to use industrial leftovers. And I understood that actually there is really big problem in the industry we are not taking care of, and it's waste, it's textile waste. Because in West, we have extremely big issue with post-consumer leftovers, and we really don't have any good solutions for that. We are collecting it, we are doing a lot of stuff, but we are still not able to recycle it properly. And then I understood that when we are going to the industrial side, so all the industry is out from the Europe, and if we see the problems there, then the problem is much bigger than we are facing in Europe. And there is actually no solutions for the leftovers in the industry. So then 7 years ago, I happened to travel around. We were making one documentary, and I ended up in Bangladesh, traveling there, and met one. Actually, we went to film to that company called Beximco. That Beximco is one of the biggest in Bangladesh. It's like 40,000 workers. It's really big, vertically integrated textile industry, like factories. And then we started to talk with the CEO there, and when he understood what is my topic, then we kind of found the common interest. He said that, you're dealing with the leftovers, which is my biggest problem right now. It actually has been a very long time. Because textile producers, their main business is to create clothes as fast as possible, because the mass production is just about the fast, and as cheap as possible. And as, for example, Bangladesh doesn't have proper waste management, then for them, they end up every day with a very big, like tons of the leftovers in their storage, like leftover storage. And they try to get rid of it. They sell it in the black market, they sell it to the local companies, they dump it somewhere, and usually it ends up somewhere in the nature. If you travel around the areas like Bangladesh or in India, in industrial areas, you will see how big is the textile wastage in the nature there. And then we started a project together with Beximco. We started to analyze their production, and also we did all the waste analysis for the company. And we understood that, they have in every single step a lot of different type of leftovers. And then in that time, I already had done my PhD, so that was my kind of post-research. Also, all the projects started really completely as a research project. So we started to test the different ways how we could bring the leftovers back to the production. So after 2 years of research, testing period, we understood that it's possible, we can do it. And then I kind of understood that I had so many samples, it already looked like a collection. And I didn't have any ambition to start designing again. But then I thought, okay, if I really would like to understand how it works, then I really have to, bring it out, and I really have to be the one who tries it at least. So I took it to the Berlin Fashion Week, the collection, and somehow I got some orders from the first time, and the collection started to sell itself. So then, that was 5 years ago, was created or recreated brand called Reet Aus. This is the photo from the webpage. If you would like, you can go and check it out. So it's. Then we started to produce in Peksimko. We opened our own line, and then I wanted to certify it, because if you go to sustainable market, you need a product which is certified, because otherwise it can be greenwash or whatever. No one knows, is it true what you are saying or not? And I was looking for the certification system, and I didn't find any. I had a long conversation with Cradle to Cradle office, and finally they said that they don't have competence in the clothing or the fashion, and they said to me that you have to do it yourself. I was then thinking it's kind of too much for me, but after talking with Stockholm Environment Institute, we started a project called UpMade. So the UpMade was born. Here you can see my colleague, Hanna, our production head in Bangladesh. So usually people really think that when we are talking about textile leftovers, it's just scraps or some kind of small pieces, but actually the biggest part of the textile leftovers are roll-ends. They look exactly like this. And after the case study, what we carried out in Peksimko first, and then in many other factories, so 18% in average stays back there as a wastage. So if you think how many products are produced, then this 18% is actually very, very big amount. So. And there are 3 types of leftovers. The roll-ends, very good one, very easy to work. Then cutting leftovers, easy for the upcycling as well, if the upcycling line is well organized. And then overproduced items, which is most ironical type of leftovers, because they're usually very good quality clothes. My first impression when I went to Peksimko, I stepped into the leftover storage. There was a huge pile of the shirts. I went to see what shirts these are, and I was climbing up and took one of the men's shirts, and it was Calvin Klein men's shirt, like really good quality. In Europe, something around 200 euros in the shop, but in Bangladesh it's just no value. So it's kind of interesting to see how the industry works. So here you can see how usually these kind of smaller scraps or the leftovers they can't use, how they end up. You can see this kind of picture like everywhere in industrial areas. So here you can just see some of the samples, what we have been doing with our brand Reet Aus. It has been extremely interesting journey to understand that really it is possible to run a sustainable business, to do your design and still be sustainable in economical sense as well. So here you can see how the UpMade works. The main thing is that we monitor the leftovers. We go into the one factory, we certify the factory. We know exactly how much leftovers they have or they will have, because we have developed also the software, UpMade software. The UpMade software is integrated to the factory's ERP system. It means that when the first order goes to the production in the same time, we already know the information about the leftovers. So how many kilograms, how many meters of leftover, like roll ends, etc. That we can calculate how many items we can produce out of the possible leftovers. And there is two ways how to work with this upmade concept. One is the way how we are working, like we are using the others' leftovers, cleaning the others' waste, basically, which is very nice, but our brand is quite small still, so we are not able to use as much we would like to use. We are using really quite a small percentage. Right now we have certified 4 factories, 2 in India, 1 in Bangladesh, and 1 in Estonia. And in November we will certify 3 more in India, so it's growing. But the best way how to work with the concept would be that the bigger brands, or just normal brands, they would adapt the system to their production and designing system. And they already, when they start to design the main collection, they already know what will be left, because the leftovers will be there always. And they already adapt the upcycling design into the collection. So that would be the easiest way. And you can, if you plan really well, you can do the production in the same time. So the one thing what, after having quite many discussions with different brands, what we have understood that the brands, they like the idea, because it's kind of good situation for the brand, because they have already paid the money for the fabric, so it will be quite cheap for them. It's not something extra, no extra cost. So the producer will be extremely happy, because they get rid of the leftovers, which is huge problem for them. And I think the consumers should be quite happy as well, because there is kind of alternative, sustainable alternative in the market what they can buy. Few words about the business model, how it works. So the upmade concept consists the certification. So we are earning from the certification fee when we go to certify the factory. Then upmade fee for the brands, little fee when they are producing and having the certification with the product. And if they need the upmade or upcycled design, then our team is able to provide the upmade design as well for them. Here is one case study where you can see some numbers. I think it's quite interesting. It was quite small quantity, but you can see the production was 5,540 pieces. And we were using the same design, just with a few cuts. And we were able to produce 150 extra shirts for that order. And the one thing what we always do, what our software does, is the environmental calculation, that we always calculate, it's product-based, how much we have saved water and energy using already existing materials. So when we are talking about cotton, then the saving is quite big. You can see the numbers are quite big in that slide. So 91 and 89. So it's this is something what has in the beginning, when we started the concept, we had so many numbers, we calculated so many things. People were extremely confused. We ended up bringing out only two numbers, water and energy, which is like understandable for all of us. So that's the concept upmade. I thank you.